Busola morală a lumii pare într-o derivă profundă. Anumite state, organizații și chiar și indivizi adaptează legea internațională după bunul plac. Fiecare pretinde că are dreptate. Confuzia este amplificată de retragerea relativă a Statelor Unite din poziția de apărător global al binelui. Acest lucru lasă în urmă un vid unde adevărul și justiția devin chestiuni de perspectivă. Analiza îi aparține lui Ken Endo, șeful Catedrei de Politică Internațională de la Universitatea din Tokyo. Sunt Cristina Cileacu, începe Pașaport diplomatic. Ken Endo, Chair and Professor of International Politics, University of Tokyo. Welcome to Diplomatic Passport.
Thank you for having me.
Professor, we have just two examples from democracies. Recently, the Prime Minister of Japan resigned, and in almost the same time, the government of France collapsed. Autocracies don't have this type of issues. Mainly, their leaders try to get more power for themselves and to impose their will in at least regions, if not the entire world. And the question is if this real politics we see now playing all over the map of the world can be still an area where democracies can prosper or survive.
The democracy can prosper based on the people's will, but at the same time within a sort of a wider favorable international environment. And on both fronts we have difficulties. You know, the United States, who championed the post-war world, is now in disarray. And you know, that the environment that the United States has somewhat nurtured is now somewhat rotten. And to reflect the people's will, it's always difficult. So so-called populist forces threatened the liberal assumptions of the liberal democracies. So it's fair to say that we are in a difficulty, and it's not really easy. The government with democratic legitimacy is likely to survive, you know, because the legitimacy really provide the government the durable foundation. The autocracy doesn't have this. I suppose that we still have a future, and we have to struggle to have that sort of future.
We saw recently a picture taken in Beijing with some world leaders surrounding the leader of China, Xi Jinping, and this picture is supposed to be a sign of unity among these leaders. Is it so?
Yeah, well, they want to present themselves in a united state of affairs, and they have succeeded in that sense, you know, presenting Russia, China, North Korea in one. But it's not really surprising. They are sort of like-minded in a reverse way. So they want to have additional power by assembling themselves, which we do also amongst the liberal like-minded partners. What is more worrisome is some of the liberal camp, you know, countries might sort of be tempted to be
part of the other group. Yeah.
Yeah. 10 years ago, celebrating more or less the same event, the leader of South Korea was amongst those people, and that was really shocking. And this time, even more worrisome is that the leader of the United States congratulated that sort of gathering. That is sort of worrisome, even though Mr. Trump was not among those leaders in Beijing.
And what these new alliances mean for the current context in the world?
I think the what is most striking is the sort of extent, the scope of the will that China has in trying to reformulate the world, so-called post-American world. We used to be sort of familiar with that sort of U.S.-led world, but now that sort of things is really getting into the background, and then China started to fill that sort of vacuum, and China has trying to show that the world is changing, shifting to their direction. So that is a sort of signal that you could sense from that summit.
But is United States really giving up its, let's say, power over the world as we know it, or is just a new phase, a transactional phase? Because Donald Trump likes power, that's clear. On the other hand, he, as you said, he feels the power of China breathing in his neck. Why giving up what you already have?
Well, I hope they wouldn't give up. But the problem of the United States is that it's not just the military muscle. You know, the relatively speaking, economic power is in decline, while China is on the rise. The most important thing is that the post-war world, in the post-war world, United States had some sort of how to put it, sense of self-righteousness. They presented themselves as somebody right, legitimate, normatively right. But that sort of posture has been abandoned by Mr. Trump. He's very unique. That you know, he doesn't pretend to be right. You know, what's important for him is winning or losing, you know, not rights and wrongs. The previous president may have done something awful in terms of, in a normative sense, in Vietnam, in Iraq, but they never gave up the posture of self-righteousness. Mr. Trump doesn't has any interest in this sort of rights and wrongs. That is very new, and that affects the capacity of the United States to lead in this world. That, for me, is quite worrisome.
The way Mr. Trump treats us, partner countries, means now more taxes, economical-wise, and also an older request from the American side, in case of Europe at least, to invest more in our own security. Is this alliance still going to be named an alliance? Shall we look at it in a different way? Is just a transactional partnership? Increasingly I am of a pessimistic view, and for Mr. Trump, allies is somebody who he should bully, because the allies are the the countries who sort of are spoiled by the United States, who take advantage of the United States and profit from that, and he is determined to stop it. So in a sense, rather than the adversaries, allies are the target for him. And plus the grouping amongst the liberal democracies, we used to have the sense that we are in the right camp, normatively speaking, human rights, rule of law, democracy, and these sort of things. But he's not interested in that. If you look at Mr. Vance's speech and acts around Munich Security Conference, he not only just trying to sort of denounce Europe as over-dependent on the United States, he sort of linked their government administration with the forces like AfD,
and the political establishment in Europe suppresses AfD. That is a sort of perverse situation that the United States is on the wrong side, not really the right side. That signal the deepening gap between Europe and the United States, and also some like-minded liberal democracies and the United States.
In this global competition for power, the less powerful countries and also some non-statal actors are also changing their strategies in terms of realpolitik. Will this matter for this balance of power in the world? Will they be perhaps drawn to China and less to the United States? What's your take on this one?
What do you mean by the non-state actor?
Well, we have terrorist organizations, for instance, that can shift. I give you an example of Hamas. Then can shift an approach towards various issues in particular.
I think the moral compass is in deep confusion. Everybody has a claim that they are right. There's no objective criteria anymore, perhaps except some international organizations like ICC, ICJ, but that itself is also in doubt. So that every actor, the autocratic country or terrorist organization, they have their own supposedly legitimate claim for their own right. So that is the sort of moral confusion that we are facing now. Right? It's a direct result from the sort of self-abandonment by the United States of rights and wrongs.
We see in the Indo-Pacific area now a new issue. Well, it's not that new actually, but now it's becoming real or more real. The reapproachment of the armies of China and Russia, adding North Korea. We were talking before we started recording this interview that Japan is in a tricky neighborhood on the map. What does this new situation mean for a country like Japan in this region?
It's certainly deeply concerning, and the combined forces of those autocracies could be seen quite remarkable. But already China itself single-handedly has the enormous power that Japan cannot single-handedly deal with. So that is why we need the United States to run counter to the expansive and revisionistic tendencies of China. But the United States is less and less dependable. So that is a sort of a worrisome situation. So we still have to try to engage the United States in that region. At the same time, we have to try to assemble those like-minded countries like South Korea, Australia, and Europe itself. So that is a sort of not really pleasant situation, but that is the world that we face.
You know Europe quite well, and I have to ask you if the way you know Europe now, you think Europe can be still dependable, considering the fact that its influence is diminishing every day.
With the United States withdrawing from Europe, Europe is struggling to have a strategic autonomy, trying to increase its own armament. So that sort of direction is a welcome move. But while filling that sort of hole that the U.S. creates, Europe rushed to fill that space. That's one race. It may take more than 1 decade. You have another race, that is that you have to do that race while watching that populist forces coming from bottom. And in some of the countries, they grab the power. So you have two races. You have to fill that hole while containing that sort of populist forces. Whether Europe could be seen dependable or not depends on that sort of, the performance in this twin race.
Because you did mention populists, this populist movement rise all over the world, not only in Europe, and we are witnessing as well a cognitive war that actually leads to the rise of populism in a lot of countries, including Japan. Can citizens protect themselves, because it looks like the states are failing in defending their own citizens against this cognitive war?
Well, it's a new front that we have to really explore. But in my view, while combating that sort of disinformation warfare coming from overseas countries, we also have to set right our own sort of democratic gardens by yourself. We have to be like a gardener, trying to put in order your own democracy with the ample sort of space for the middle class, to some extent controlling the immigration, and especially the sentiment of middle class, especially lower middle class, vis-à-vis this sort of immigration. At the same time, we have to treat the gap between the rich and North, so that the entire population, in a relative sense, stay in satisfactory sentiment. Otherwise, the democracy wouldn't survive. The lower middle class, which constitute the bulk of the electorate, they are the key. We have to embrace immigrants. We have to deal with those poverty, but at the same time, this sort of lower middle class has to be taken care, because they are the people who pay tax, that create resources to deal with those poverty and immigrants. But ultimately, unless this lower middle class is satisfied, the state of quality of democracy will be in a bad state. So that's sort of triple sort of treatment of the quality of democracy is the key in my eyes.
Well, immigration is now used against democracy all over the world. Again, it's a part of the narratives that are being put from United States to Romania. This century and the democracies are affected truly by the use of technology. It is wide developed and increasing in development. Do you think that in this new type of realpolitik, technology will actually take over the world?
You mean the TikTok type of things? Or?
TikTok type of things and other social media, artificial intelligence.
All right.
It's a mix.
Oh yes, but this is really a difficult part because ordinary people cannot tell what is AI created false disinformation or the real stuff. There is no miracle cure, I would say, except perhaps to try to educate informed public, so that they would be capable to discern what is dubious, what is not. I wouldn't see any miracle cure, but that's what we need.
A miracle. A miracle.
I don't know. Well, if you don't believe in miracle, you're not realistic. That's what somebody said. But anyway, we cannot bet on miracles to preserve our democracy. But I think the capacity to doubt what you have in front is the key. And that is what I think education can help to nurture.
Well, let's keep this hope to end this interview. Professor Ken Endo, thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Atât pentru astăzi, dar rămânem în continuare online pe pagina de Facebook a emisiunii și pe conturile noastre de X și Instagram. Revenim cu subiecte noi din lumea diplomației și a politicii externe, vinerea viitoare de la 11:30 și în reluare sâmbătă după miezul nopții. La revedere!